everyone. Today we are here again with another topic, which is delivering deal value at intersection of business and human capital strategy. This is episode 2, and we have uh, today Gaurav. Gaurav is one of the principal at Mercer, and we did two previous of podcasts where we focus about the first one was more on why do deal fails. The second one, we focus more on what action people can take to avoid deal failure. And today we welcome Gaurav again to go through and discuss more about how we can create deal value. Welcome, Gaurav, for this podcast. Thank you, audience, for joining us. The goal of the podcast today is to make sure that how company can create deal value. Again, welcome, Gaurav.
Thank you so much, Dharmendra, and festival greetings to all our audiences on the call or who would be watching this podcast. Thank you, Dharmendra, again for having me here.
Good. So I have a question which are very direct, and it really comes out, if you can share more example, because we have been talking about, why deal fails. We also spoke that, what people can take action to make sure the deal's failure can be avoided. So we are going to discuss more on creating value, and I think you must give some of your expertise on how company can create value. So my first question to you, Gaurav, is how value can be created in deals, and what are some of the key factors that needs alignment of value creation?
Thank you, Dharmendra, for starting with that question. I think very pertinent question for any of the deal professionals. In my experience of working on M&A transactions, one of the things that I have realized is that many of the buyers and the deal professionals, when they close a transaction, the focus is largely, that focus revolves around the integration phase or the first 90 to 100 days of post-closing, where both buyer and seller are in a hurry, if I can use that word, to harmonize policies, harmonize processes, understand ways of working of each other, and then let the business continue as usual post 90 to 100 days of closing. This is also the period where a lot of steam that was initially generated either pre-closing or during the 90 to 100 days, that steam sort of, loses out, and there's not enough momentum maintained after 90 to 100 days of closing. Like I was mentioning, in most of the transactions that I have supported, be it on the private equity side or on the corporate side, the focus is really on integrating 80 to 90% of people, processes, technology, and organization within 90 to 100 days, and let then the natural course of business take over and people go back to their day jobs and so on and so forth. This is one of the biggest mistakes that deal professionals make. Successful acquirers have recognized that full deal value achievement is never going to happen within 90 to 100 days post-closing. They always plan and develop strategies over medium to long term. One of the ways of creating those strategies is, start with a very simple yet powerful tool like strategy map, where, the value drivers of the transaction links to the strategic priorities across, financials, across operations, across people, across culture, and so on and so forth. While creating this strategy map, and again, the strategy map, if created jointly, ensures that there is alignment with all the stakeholders. There's ownership between all the stakeholder group to ensure support and commitment of the deal. Unless there is a buy-in on, what actions or what, initiatives both buyer and seller, and I may use the word combined entity post-closing, the combined entity is going to take post-closing to ensure deal value. That alignment, if not achieved in the initial phases, it will bound to happen that the value will not be created. For example, if the deal objective was to create value by cost savings, and people are realizing, or the deal professionals are realizing, or the people who are working on value, that it may not be possible to save cost, right? We want to
Yeah.
grow, and when you are growing, cost saving is not really an optimal option. Then
Mhm.
there's clearly misalignment between both, and you're not going to achieve the same objective. If the transaction objective was, because of this acquisition, we gonna get entry into a particular market, or there's a product expansion, but you're not aligning your sales team, you're not aligning your incentives to cross sell, you're not aligning
Yeah.
the research and development team to come up with new
Right.
products or
Mhm.
services, which takes effort from both the organizations collectively. Those things will not be able to realize value. So strategy map
Mhm.
is a very powerful tool to link value drivers with various functions in the organization. Once you have created a strategy map, the next action is to create a strategy blueprint or a value creation roadmap or a blueprint that may span over anywhere between 80 to 24 months, or any other period that the deal professionals had in mind. It could be a period beyond 24 months, but given the short cycle of businesses and the external environment, 18 to 24 months is a very optimal period to create a blueprint during this period. Very often we have seen that very well defined strategies not executed properly with excellence, they are bound to
Mhm.
fail. So this blueprint actually provides crisp actions, manageable
Right.
actions,
Yeah.
for deal professionals to sort of work on clearly defined set of objectives. There's another
Right.
uh, there's another point on the governance that I have personally witnessed on all the transactions that I have worked. Uh,
Mhm.
Very often in a transaction, there is a steering committee that's put in place immediately, or even before the deal
Closed.
process
Yeah.
starts, right?
Mhm.
The frequency of the steering committee meetings typically may start with a week,
Mhm.
during the deal, when the deal is hot. Post closing, the frequency may reduces to, I have seen, as long as once in 6 months, or maybe once in a year, which means that the focus of the steering committee has completely moved away from this initiative or this transaction to something else in the organization.
Mhm.
Now, what messages does it send to the organization or the people who are working on synergy realization is that they are there's limited focus. So,
Yeah.
let's go back to what we're doing as usual. So keeping the momentum and keeping the pace of Stairco rigor, during the time unless you have realized value, is another
Mhm.
key factor in ensuring that we create value from a transaction.
Yeah. And also another point which I thought could be very important is for each value driver, the ownership of those each driver. I think if that person is not able to drive up to the way, going further, because it's not something time bound. Right? You have to do it till full integration is fully complete, or whatever value you want to achieve. You might have some roadmap, but the person who is driving that is strategic initiative, if he's not able to drive, then also the whole game gets changed. So I
Absolutely.
think, yeah, that is another thing which I experienced. So just coming to that point, I have another question which is more related to this. How deal goals can be cascaded to team working on synergy realization? Can you also give some of the case study or best practices to achieve synergy realization?
Sure. I think somewhere I think if I remember correctly, in the first podcast, I did use the term failure to cascade strategic
Yeah.
objectives into actions as
Mhm.
one of the key failure points of why the deals does not achieve success. The first point in, cascading goals to the deal teams is defining the goals that the deal teams will
Mhm.
be working on. And, again, linking it from the strategy map, you have identified
Mhm.
specific value drivers that will help you achieve you know, certain growth, or certain
Mhm.
value, or realize certain synergies. From those drivers,
Mhm.
identify and cascade goals using many frameworks that are available at this point in time. Uh, One of the most commonly used framework is a balance scorecard, where
Yeah.
every value every growth driver is cascaded across finance, operations, learning and development, and culture of the organization. And you can extend not just these four areas of the organization, but you can extend it beyond wherever it is required. So cascading goals using one of the frameworks available like balance scorecard or objectives, key results, and actions. Any of the framework can work well. Like you mentioned in the previous question, accountability of the people is important. Many of the times people don't even know that I'm accountable for this task. Right. And whether this should take precedence over my other jobs, or what is the weightage of this particular task as compared to my other jobs in the organization. So identifying people who would be working on, on synergy goals. And this obviously would be a cross-functional team across departments or across verticals within the organization, from finance, from operations, from sales, HR, and so on and so forth. Is important to create that team, and communicating the ask to the team very clearly. These are the goals, these are the objectives that you would need to achieve over a period of time. And this is the larger picture with which you're working, towards which you're working for this particular initiative. The next step then is quantifying, the goals, or giving the team working on the project specific matrices or specific targets. For example, if cost saving is one of the objectives from a transaction, then the goal is cost saving from, from let's say procurement, from streamlining the procurement vendors or streamlining certain operations to ensure cost saving. Then each team should be given a reduction targets to meet within a specified timeline. Unless that is happening, we can go on forever within the organization, right? As long without realizing those synergies. It is also important on the software side to foster a culture of collaboration and coordination. So encouraging teams who are working together. I wouldn't use the term war room in current context. Using that term is not right, but allowing people to, tools like, if teams are working virtually, give them access to tools like MS Office, MS Teams, Zoom, etc., so that they can collaborate more efficiently. If they are working in person within the organization, then, within the physical premises of the organization, then allocate certain dedicated space. In one of the transactions that I was supporting very recently, we, the entire cross-functional team, which was from marketing and communication, which had folks from HR, which had folks from finance, IT, there was a specified office or space given to that team to work out, so that we can throw out ideas, we can discuss interdependencies, we can discuss how we can collaborate better, we can streamline our work, our action plans, and so on and so forth. The next step is to sort of monitor progress and provide feedback constantly. Like I mentioned, the job of the Stairco reduces significantly once you cross 3 months, 6 months, post-closing. That job needs to continue with the same rigor till you achieve the same targets over a period of time. So maybe a monthly cadence of monitoring progress and providing feedback to people who are working on the transaction or synergy realization is important. One of the things that I have noticed, and as a consultant, I'm also guilty of that we provide a very fancy one-page progress update with red, amber, green across milestones and so on and so forth. What I have realized, and coming from my experience, is those progress charts doesn't really help anyone significantly, but identifying top 10 actions from the meeting that the team should act on post that Stairco review is important. And the review should start with what is the progress on those top 10 actions that we have identified last month, right? And then, from there, identify the next set of 10 actions and so on and so forth. Of course, these actions have to be completely aligned with the overall blueprint that you have created as a first step. But that action is what really, provides actionable feedback to people who are working on transactions. And then,
Mhm.
it's a continuous process. The deal,
Planning. Yeah.
any value creation process or any synergy
Mhm.
realization process, it's a continuous and an ongoing process. So continuously evolve and evaluate your approach, adapt your
Mhm.
strategies and tactics as needed based on the feedback that you have received, the results that you have received. In case there is any external factors that are impacting your value creation, in past you had COVID or any other geopolitical factors that are impacting, or
Yeah.
AI coming into the fore, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. So any factor which is impacting your progress in any way, or
Mhm.
any changing
Mhm.
circumstances, you should continuously evolve and adapt towards those, and they move on from there, is what I would say. Some of the leading practices I have seen companies implement while they are working on transactions.
Mhm. Yeah. So I know realizing value, after acquisition is not so easy. So as you rightly said, that planning, monitoring, and taking action. I think these are three critical steps. I think that gives, more, it's a kind of a solution approach to read. I think thanks for your time and giving some of your case studies, what you have learned and what worked for you. I think that we're going to work for others. So we thank for your time, and we come with another topic, which will be another interesting topic related to M&A deals and how we can create more value, learning from your experience and sharing our expertise to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dharmendra, for having me here. Really enjoyed our conversation and looking forward to the subsequent topics.
Sure. Thank you. Have a good day.